Virginia implodes. Democratic presidential candidates drop like flies, and the specter of socialism looms. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is The Ben Shapiro Show. Oh man, I have sitting right here before me the draft Green New Deal from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I could not be more excited to explain to you how she's going to completely rewrite the American economy, revitalize America's industry. It's so good, man. It is so good. Plus, Beto O'Rourke, there's an article about him in the New York Times, and man, it's groovy and everything. It's unbelievable. But we'll get to all that in just a second. First, let's talk about what you're doing for Valentine's Day. So, you know what the best Valentine's Day gift ever would be? Sherry's Berries. I am not kidding you. Okay, so Sherry's Berries has kosher goods. And very often we have advertisers on the program who have stuff that is not kosher. And so I talk about how people in the office like it because people in the office tell me how great it is. But when it comes to Sherry's Berries, they actually have some kosher stuff. So we got a box of Sherry's Berries at the office, and I started eating this stuff. I am now 1,000 pounds. This stuff is unbelievable. You're never going to go wrong with their signature dipped Valentine's strawberries, dipped in milk, dark or white chocolatey goodness for any discerning palate. She will fall in love with every bite, topped with decadent toppings, chocolate chips, heart, and glitter sparkles. It's Valentine's made easy. They arrive fresh with 100% Sherry's Berries guarantee. They ship anywhere nationally. Give sweet somethings to your long-distance love. Valentine's Day is directly around the corner. Send her the Valentine's gift of her dreams at the price of your dreams, starting at $19.99 plus shipping and handling, which is a great combo. You're sending something awesome, and it doesn't cost you a lot of money, which means that she's going to love you and you won't be broke. It's amazing. Plus, order now and make this Valentine's really special by getting double the berries for just $10 more. Go to berries.com, click on the microphone, enter promo code BENSHOW at checkout. That is berries.com, BERRIES.com. Click the microphone, enter code BENSHOW at checkout. It is just awesome sauce. Berries.com, enter code BENSHOW for the special deal. It is so good. Okay, so we begin today with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We'll get to Virginia in just a second. Don't worry, I'll give you all the updates. But just recently, breaking news, she has released a brand new plan, a Green New Deal plan that changes America forever because she's a fresh face. So fresh, so face. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez got in a Twitter fight with my business partner, Jeremy Boring, last night. Jeremy made the point on Twitter that I had made yesterday on the show because we steal from each other on a routine basis. That's why we make great business partners. He made the point that she is, in fact, not a victim, while she has been claiming to be a victim and cheering herself for being a woman in Congress. And she tweeted something back about how the fact that she is the only 29-year-old bartender in Congress means that Congress is just not representative, which makes no sense at all, by the way, because if we were just to take a demographic breakdown out of like 500 people, how many are 29-year-old bartenders? Maybe one out of 500 people across America. I don't think the demographics work out that way. Also, it doesn't make any sense to suggest that the American Congress is supposed to be broken down demographically akin to the American population because we have majoritarian voting in the United States. 53% of voters in the United States are women, which means that if women voted as a block, everyone in Congress would be a woman. So that's not how voting works. That's not how representation works. But AOC doesn't know things, but she has great fashion sense and she can make stuff in an instant pot and she's sassy. So that's all that counts. And now she has a brilliant new Green New Deal plan. It is so brilliant that even people on the left are laughing at it today because it's just absurd. So she has now released her Green New Deal plan. Here's the overview. I love it so much. It's so great because this is the future, guys. And if you don't embrace the future, it's because you're afraid of the future. Like, unbelievable. You're unbelievably afraid of the future. Like, if people would just think, like, about 20 years, like, down the line, then they would know that, like, this is what we have to, like, do. Yeah. Anyway, here is what she says. Quote, "We will begin work immediately on Green New Deal bills to put the nuts and bolts on the plan described in this resolution. Important to say, so someone else can't claim this mantle." So it says that right at the top of the overview. So that's pretty great. Lachlan Markey over at, I'm trying to remember which publication he's with right now. He has this story. It says, "This is a massive transformation of our society with clear goals and a timeline. The Green New Deal resolution, a 10-year plan to mobilize every aspect of American society at a scale not seen since World War II to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions and create economic prosperity for all. It will move America to 100% clean and renewable energy." She's saying this over 10 years. "Create millions of family-supporting wage union jobs, ensure a just transition for all communities and workers to ensure economic security for people and communities that have historically relied on fossil fuel industries." You mean like all of the industries in the United States? Literally all of them? It says, "Ensure justice and equity for frontline communities by prioritizing investment, training climate and community resiliency, economic and environmental benefits in these communities. Build on FDR's second Bill of Rights by guaranteeing a job with a family-sustaining wage, family and medical leave, vacations, and retirement security. So this is all part of her plan. Everyone in the United States is going to have a job guaranteed by the federal government. High-quality education, including higher education and trade schools, guaranteed by the federal government. Healthy food, clean air and water, and access to nature. So I guess we're going to be busing people out to the forest. High-quality health care, guaranteed by the federal government. Safe, affordable, adequate housing, guaranteed by the federal government. An economic environment free of monopolies, and economic security for all who are unable or unwilling to work. Unwilling to work. Economic security for people who don't even want to work, who just want to sit around all day watching reruns of the Golden Girls. Economic security provided by the federal government for those people. This is part of the Green New Deal plan. Now, you may think that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. What? Okay. We're just getting started, guys. I mean, this is just the beginning of the Green New Deal plan, which, as I say, is just spectacular. It is just spectacular. By the way, Lachlan is a reporter for the Daily Beast. It says, in this outline, it says, there is no time to waste. The IPCC report said global emissions must be cut by 40 to 60% by 2030. U.S. is 20% of total emissions. We must get to zero by 2030 and lead the world in a global Green New Deal. Now, again, this is forgetting the fact that all of the developing countries are providing the vast majority of actual greenhouse gas emissions on planet Earth, and that they are increasing their emissions even as we cut our emissions. And I love this. She says, Americans love a challenge. This is our moonshot. Okay, a couple of things about Americans love a challenge. We do like a challenge. You know what we don't like? The challenge of burning our house down. If somebody comes up to you on the street and they're like, you know what? Challenge. Go home, take kerosene, pour it all over your roof, and light a match. We're like, yeah, man, I love a challenge. That's something I'm up for. Someone comes up to you and you know what? I have a challenge for you. I want you to take this baseball bat and beat the crap out of your car. Just go smash those headlights, break the windshield, and while you're at it, make sure that you set that thing on fire too. Like, you know what? I love a challenge. That's my moonshot. What she's talking about is a complete destruction of the American economy. She's like, but Americans love a challenge. We can do it, guys. We totally can. Just when JFK said we'd go to the end, by the end of the decade, people said impossible. If Eisenhower, she released this. Like, they didn't even proofread it. They didn't even proofread it. Yeah, hold on one second. I'm so upset by this that I have to blow my nose. She says, if Eisenhower wanted to build the interstate highway system today, people would ask how we'd pay for it. Right, because you should always ask how you're going to pay for things. That's like an important thing. And she says, when FDR called on America to build 185,000 planes to fight World War II, every business leader, CEO, and general laughed at him. At the time, the U.S. had produced 3,000 planes in the last year. By the end of the war, we produced 300,000 planes. That's what we are capable of if we have real leadership. I'd like to see like one iota of evidence that people laughed at FDR when he said he wanted to build planes in the middle of a war. Is there any evidence that that's true? And then she says, this is massive investment in our economy and society, not expenditure. This is my favorite part. So we're going to destroy the entire economy. We're going to guarantee jobs to everyone who is unwilling to work. We're going to guarantee full-scale health care, higher education, and housing to everyone who is unwilling to work or unwilling to do anything. But that's an investment in our economy and society. It is not an expenditure. Now, here's why she may be failing economics. When you invest in things, there's usually a return on the investment. When you expend on things, you are just trading your money for the thing. Now, what she is doing is trading the money for the thing. There is no return on this investment because it's not an investment. It's a political expenditure of money that is not hers. But that's okay. That's okay. She says, we invested 40 to 50% of GDP into our economy during World War II and created the greatest middle class the U.S. has ever seen. No. Okay, we invested. So she is now citing wartime economic spending as a rationale for economic growth. That is asinine. You know what we did during World War II? We took every male in the United States between the ages of 18 and 45, and we put them in barracks, and we had them live off rations because we were in the middle of a war. The economic growth that occurred in the aftermath of World War II was not caused by government expenditure. Government expenditures decreased after World War II. She says the interstate highway system has returned more than $6 in economic productivity for every $1 it cost. You know what would happen, by the way? Everybody always loves to talk about the interstate highway system. You know what would happen if there was no interstate highway system? Nothing. Really nothing. What I mean by that is that Route 66 already existed. All that would have happened is that states would have connected their highways. What do these people think, that the highways just would have ended at the state line, that there just would have been like a bridge and then nothing? They just would have said dead end at the end of the street? She says, this is massively expanding existing and building new industries at a rapid pace, growing our economy. And then she says the Green New Deal has momentum. 92% of Democrats and 64% of Republicans support the Green New Deal, right? Because it doesn't mean anything until you said all this garbage. Now that support level is going to go down to zero. It gets better. There's a bunch of frequently asked questions here. And she says, why 100% clean and renewable and not just 100% renewable? Are you saying we won't transition off fossil fuels? Yes, we are calling for a full transition off fossil fuels and zero greenhouse gases. Anyone who has read the resolution sees that we spell this out through a plan that calls for eliminating greenhouse gas emissions from every sector of the economy. Simply banning fossil fuels immediately won't build the new economy to replace it. This is the plan to build that new economy and spells out how to do it technically. She says, we set a goal to get to net zero rather than zero emissions in 10 years because we aren't sure that we'll be able to fully get rid of farting cows and airplanes that fast. Is she going to kill all the cows? Because that's sad. Right? She said she wants to get rid of airplanes and also farting cows. Is she going to give them all X-lax? How's this going to work? She says, is nuclear a part of this? She says, no. There will be no nuclear energy. So only the most efficient source of energy known to man, nuclear power. No, we're not going to, and clean, by the way. We're not going to do any of that. So we're going to transition all of the energy away from fossil fuels, but there will be no use of nuclear energy, which means that we will all blow into pinwheels, apparently, to produce all of our energies. We will just train hamsters, and they will run around on wheels, and those wheels will power our new green economy. Does this include a carbon tax? The Green New Deal is a massive investment in the production of renewable energy industries and infrastructure. We cannot simply tax gas and expect workers to figure out another way to get to work. So we're not ruling a giant carbon tax out, but a carbon tax would be a tiny part of a Green New Deal. While a carbon tax may apart, it misses the point. It would be off the table unless we create clean, affordable options first. How about cap and trade? Well, she says that there won't be cap and trade because that assumes that there's such a thing as a market, and we don't like markets, so no. So how is she going to do any of this stuff? This is where things get awesome. So wait a second. Wait until she gets to the... I love it so much. She's just like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to fix everything. How are you going to do it? We just are. Great plan. Okay. Guys, stop asking questions. She's a fresh face. Very fresh and very face. We'll get back to this in just a second. I'm sorry. If this is the best, they're not sending their best. They're not sending their best. We have to shut the Democratic Party down until we can figure out what the hell is going on. Okay, first, let's talk about how you protect your own home. I'm trying to protect America from this nonsense, but you just want to protect your house from would-be burglars. This is why you need Ring. Ring's mission is to make neighborhoods safer. You might already know about their smart video doorbells and cameras that protect millions of people everywhere. Ring helps you stay connected to your home anywhere in the world. So, if there's a package delivery or a surprise visitor, you will get an alert and be able to see, hear, and speak to them all from your phone. That's thanks to the HD video and two-way audio features on Ring devices. We have a Ring.com device at our house. It allows me to know when somebody is ringing our doorbell, even if I'm 3,000 miles away. And then if it's somebody who I don't want coming into the house or I think that they're dangerous, I can even call 911. I mean, it's really great. And they don't just do that. They have all of these other devices that allow you to create a ring of security around your home. As a listener, you have a special offer on a Ring starter kit available right now. With a video doorbell and motion-activated floodlight cam, the starter kit has everything you need to start building that ring of security around your home. You should do it. I certainly have. I'm worried about home security a lot, and you should be too, because, listen, break-ins happen, and you really should be protected in the best possible way. Go to ring.com/Ben. That is ring.com/Ben. Once again, ring.com/Ben for your special deal. Go check it out, ring.com/Ben. Okay, back to AOC's brilliant, fresh-faced new plan. So how will you pay for it? Right, good question. Now, she already said that we're not supposed to ask that question, because if we ask that question, it shows insufficient commitment, which is just what my wife says every time she asks me to buy her an expensive piece of jewelry. And I say, well, how much is it going to cost? She says, if you care how much it costs, well, then you don't really love me. Well, that's what AOC is doing right now. She's like, we're like, well, this Green New Deal, like, how you got any plan to pay for any of this stuff? Like, at any point, she's like, you don't love me enough. You just don't. If you really cared, you wouldn't ask such questions. Says, how will you pay for it? Here she goes. This is so great. The same way we paid for the New Deal, the 2008 bank bailout, and extended quantitative easing programs. The same way we paid for World War II and all our current wars. So you still haven't given an answer, because you know what that was? Racking up federal debt. That's when we racked up lots of federal debt right there. She says the Federal Reserve can extend credit to power these projects and investments, and new public banks can be created to extend credit. Oh, so we'll actually even create banks run by the federal government to lend to the federal government, paid for by the federal government with dollars that don't yet exist, that we will get from other countries or will inflate our way. This is good. It's going to be brilliant. There's no way this goes wrong at all. She says, there is also space for the government to take an equity stake in projects to get a return on investment. So it won't just be the banks lending out, the federal banks lending out to capitalistic companies to build all this green new energy stuff. We will have direct ownership in all of these things. We will nationalize the energy industry. Perfect. You know where that worked awesome? In Venezuela. Wait, yeah, no. At the end of the day, this is an investment in our economy that should grow our wealth as a nation. So the question isn't how we will pay for it, but what we will do with our new shared prosperity. My favorite line of the whole thing. So great. So, I mean, really, again, back to my wife and the jewelry. This is me saying to her, so how much is it going to cost? She says, listen to me, okay? This is not an expenditure. This grows our wealth as a household. The question is not how you're going to pay for this $100,000 necklace. The question is what we should do with our new shared $100,000 necklace. What the actual? Okay, but it continues. It continues. I love her. Okay, I love when she gets to her actual goals, her resolution summary. Her resolution summary is fan-frickin-tastic. So again, we're talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, so fresh, so faced, her new Green New Deal plan, which is in line with all of her other statements in that it is fully idiotic. She says, created in consultation with multiple groups from environmental community, environmental justice community, and labor community. 5 goals in 10 years. Net zero greenhouse gas emissions through a fair and just transition for all communities and workers, create millions of high-wage jobs, and ensure prosperity and economic security for all. I like how that's just the goal. We're just going to create these jobs, and then everyone will have prosperity and economic security. Well, now that you've articulated it that way, I think we're going to get there, guys. I'm optimistic. She says, invest in infrastructure and industry to sustainably meet the challenges of the 21st century. Clean air and water, climate and community resiliency, healthy food, access to nature, and a sustainable environment for all. Promote justice and equity by stopping current, preventing future, and repairing historic oppression of frontline and vulnerable communities. We're also going to stop racism with this, by the way. Isn't that amazing? All it took was AOC to come and say stuff, and racism got solved, guys. It was unreal. So good. And then she, like, oh my God. Like, it's almost hard to believe that this is a thing that she actually is suggesting, right? That she suggests in this plan that there's a bigger plan that's also been put out, I believe, online. And in this plan, she also suggests that we are going to get rid of cars, and we are going to get rid of we're going to get rid of airplanes and replace it with trains. I am not making this stuff up. This is a real thing. So NPR has a summary of the Green New Deal, and at the bottom line, and at the bottom of this summary of the Green New Deal, it says a guaranteed job with a family-sustaining wage, adequate family and medical leave, paid vacations, and retirement security for every American. It's all going to be great, guys. I totally think it's going to happen. Also, she says that she wants to upgrade or replace every building in the country. Every single one. She says repair and upgrade U.S. infrastructure. Upgrade or replace every building in the United States for state-of-the-art energy efficiency. Okay? Massively expand clean manufacturing. Work with farmers and ranchers to create a sustainable pollution and greenhouse gas-free food system that ensures universal access to healthy food. This is the best part. Totally overhaul transportation. Ready for this one? Here we go. I swear, it's like leprechauns farting while riding unicorns across a rainbow sky. That's what this is. Totally overhaul transportation by massively expanding electric vehicle manufacturing. Build charging stations everywhere. Highly specific. Everywhere. Like everywhere you look, there's a charging station. You look in your closet, boom, charging station. You go out on the street, boom, charging station. You go over to the local Baskin Robbins, you open that door thinking you're going to get a scoop of ice cream, boom, charging station. Right in your grill, a charging station. Build out high-speed rail at a scale where air travel stops becoming necessary. Build out high-speed rail at a scale where air travel stops becoming necessary. You know how many people go on airplanes? You know what's the fun thing about airplanes, really? You know what's one of the fun things? They travel in the air. They go real fast. And they go from place to place. And then they refuel and keep going. You know what's one of the problem with trains? They're on tracks. The tracks can't swerve. The tracks can't move. The tracks are very stable. Do you think that it would take longer to take a high-speed train from LA to New York or to take a plane from LA to New York? I am sure this is going to go over great guns. And we're going to be spending, what, trillions of dollars, presumably, to build high-speed trains from, like, in Japan. Japan is the size of what? It's smaller than California, Japan. So she's talking about doing this across the country. So every time I go from LA to Washington, I think we should just listen, if we are really committed to the Green New Deal, we need covered wagons. That's what we need. We need covered wagons, and we need oxen. Not farting oxen, just oxen. We need fart-free oxen to take us in covered wagons across the country on high-speed trains. That's what we need. Powered by love. That's exactly what we need. She says we're going to create affordable public transit available to all with the goal to replace every combustion engine vehicle, every single one. So those millions of combustion engine vehicles that are driving around right now, they'll all be gone within 10 years. How? Stop asking how. That shows insufficient commitment. Commit yourself. Commit yourself to a Green New Deal, or you don't care about Mother Earth. Now, when asked about this, I am sure she will say that it is racist to ask about this. She will suggest that it is very bad to talk in realistic terms about all of this. It shows that we don't care enough, because this is always the response to people who have questions about stuff like this. Whenever we talk about climate change, and folks like me say, you know what? I am perfectly willing to accept that man-made activity is responsible for a majority of the climate change that has occurred over the last century and a half. Perfectly happy to suggest that that is the case, because that seems to be a generalized scientific consensus. All right, fine. Now, what do you want to do about it? And they're like, how dare you? You're a climate change denier. Like, all I asked was, what do you want to do about it? And like, stop asking that question. It just shows that you don't want to do anything, which means you're a climate change denier. This is the same thing. Here's my Green New Deal. It will provide free jobs to everyone, free healthcare to everyone, free ice cream to everyone, a pony, everything you ever wanted it will provide. You're like, cool. How? Stop it. Stop it. You are not freshed and faced enough to ask such questions. So if this is the new Democratic Party, the world is stupid. But we already knew that the world is stupid. How stupid is the new Democratic Party? The fresh faces of the Democratic Party? And this is the party of science, by the way. I've been reliably informed that this is the party of science, the party that says that babies up to points of birth are not in fact babies, they are clusters of cells, and also that we can get rid of all planes in the United States via trains powered by unicorn crap. Party of science, man. Party of science. We're going to get to more on the Democrats' party of science in just a second. But first, let's talk about how you improve your business. Let's say that you have an employee like AOC who presents you with business plans that make no sense at all. And you're like, you know what? I need a better employee than this. Where should you look? Probably should check out ZipRecruiter. Hiring can be pretty time consuming. You post a job to several online job boards only to get tons of the wrong resumes. Then you have to sort through all of those resumes just to find a few people with the right skills and experience. Those job sites that overwhelm you with the wrong resumes, they are not smart, which is why you should do the smart thing and go to ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter finds qualified candidates for you. Their powerful matching technology scans thousands of resumes to identify people with the right skills, education, and experience, and then actively invites them to apply to your job. So you get qualified candidates fast. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the United States. That rating comes from hiring sites on Trustpilot with over 1,000 reviews. Right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire. If you love the show, show your support for it and ZipRecruiter by going to ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire, DAILYWIRE. That's ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire. ZipRecruiter is indeed the smartest way to hire. All right, so the party of science that says Green New Deal paid for by nothing, and also babies don't exist, now is making the case, I kid you not, that men and women are biologically the same. Not that gender is a social construct disconnected from biology, but that biology suggests that men and women are exactly the same. Who is saying this? None other than another fresh face of the Democratic Party. So fresh, so face, Representative Ilhan Omar, Democratic Congresswoman from Minnesota. She has now recommended that the Minnesota Attorney General, Keith Ellison, investigate USA powerlifting for barring biological males from women's events. Omar calls it a myth that men who identify as transgender women have a direct competitive advantage, and copied Keith Ellison on the letter with a recommendation that they investigate this discriminatory behavior. Omar sent her letter on behalf of J.C. Cooper, a biological male who identifies as a transgender woman, and whom Omar identified as one of her constituents. She signed the letter on January 31st, although it only became public on Tuesday after Cooper posted a picture to Instagram. Here is what the letter said. It said, I am writing to express my concern over a recent decision by USA Powerlifting to bar participation by any constituent because she is transgender. Under the Minnesota Human Rights Act, discrimination against anyone based on their gender identity is illegal. This includes in public accommodations and in Minnesota, organizations such as USA Powerlifting. In fact, just last month, a Minnesota jury awarded Ms. Christina Ginther $20,000 after the Independent Women's Football League refused to allow her to participate because she is transgender. I urge you to reconsider this discriminatory, unscientific policy and follow the example of the International Olympic Committee. The myth that trans women have a direct competitive advantage is not supported by medical science, and it continues to stoke fear and violence against one of the most at-risk communities in the world. So, in powerlifting, biological men who identify as women do not have an advantage over biological women who are women. That's a myth. Because, what? What? Like, really, men are only good for a couple of things. One is hitting things and the other is picking up big objects. Like, every so often we squash a bug. That's pretty much what we're good for. But according to Ilhan Omar, science suggests that men do not have a competitive advantage in powerlifting. We're not even talking about like ice skating. We're talking about powerlifting. Party of science, man. These folks are really on top of it. You got to admire. You got to admire the security of knowing that no matter what idiotic thing you say, the media will defend you. I mean, how secure do you have to be to put out stupid ideas like this and know that the media are going to continue to call you a Democratic fresh face filled with great ideas for the future of the country? Putting out ideas like this and knowing full scale that the blowback is only going to come from conservatives and from people in media who don't happen to be motivated leftists, which is like 5 people. It's got to be great. I mean, that's got to be just a charmed life, doesn't it? And those of us in the conservative commentariat, we spend every waking minute thinking about where the next attack is going to come from the media, because this is what they do on a routine basis. Every conservative politician thinks this way too. If you're a Democrat, basically life is a musical. You're walking around, people are dancing in the background, usually they're Washington Post reporters. Every so often, Tom Hanks pops out of the woodwork to give you an endorsement. It must just be fabulous. Imagine that a Republican congressperson said half the things that Ilhan Omar had said. Oh, wait, we don't have to imagine. Steve King did. You know what happened? He got destroyed by people, including people like me on the conservative side of the aisle. But if you're a Democrat, man, you can get away with pretty much any stupid idea you could possibly push. It's really amazing. And here's the thing about being on the left. There is no Overton window for the left. There is no idea that is too wild for the left to actually wrap its arms around and embrace, if only for a moment, to have a one-night stand with. The left will embrace any crazy idea. So on the right, the Overton window is really small, and the left helps shrink the Overton window so that if you say things like Western civilization is superior to other civilizations, this may be outside the Overton window. But if, like Farhad Manjoo, an opinion columnist at the New York Times, you write a column called Abolish Billionaires, then that's inside the Overton window. No problem at all. This article says, last fall, Tom Shoka, editor of the essential blog Daily, it's not that essential, nobody's heard of it, wrote a tiny, searing post that has been rattling around my head ever since. There's not a lot in there, so, I mean, once there's like a thing in there, it just kind of rattles. Some ideas about how to make the world better require careful, nuanced thinking about how to best balance competing interests, he began. Others don't. Billionaires are bad. We should presumptively get rid of billionaires. All of them. You know who had this idea? Stalin. You can liquidate them and take their wealth. That would be one way of getting rid of billionaires, but that's not what they're talking about. What they are talking about is kneecapping the wealthiest among us. This is the language in the New York Times. $1 billion is wildly more than anyone needs, even accounting for life's most excessive lavishes. It's far more than anyone might reasonably claim to deserve, however much he believes he has contributed to society. Again, you don't seize wealth for yourself, you idiots. You don't become a billionaire by saying, you know what, today, got up in the morning, decided, I'm going to be a billionaire. And then you just go out and you steal people's wallets until you're a billionaire. That's not how being a billionaire works. Unless you're a socialist, in which case you could do that, right? I mean, if you're like Hugo Chavez, you can make yourself a billionaire just by seizing everybody else's wealth. So I guess for socialists who believe that all economics is a zero-sum game, the only way to become a billionaire is by exploiting other people. But for those of us who live in a free market world of free exchange and mutual labor exchanges, you become a billionaire by engaging in lots of voluntary transactions with people who want the thing you are providing. But apparently this is immoral. That's immoral. Now, what makes transaction 1 different morally from transaction 1 million morally? What is the moral difference between Burger King selling its first hamburger and Burger King selling its 1 millionth hamburger? The answer is nothing. It's the exact same transaction. There is no moral difference. But for the left, with every incremental sale of a burger that makes the people who own Burger King richer, it becomes a less moral act to sell the burger to a willing customer. That's nuts. So here's what Farhad Manjoo, again, the New York Times editorial board, my goodness, what a repository of idiocy. They say, at some level of extreme wealth, money inevitably corrupts. Why don't you tell us which level? Which level makes you corrupt? I've had money. I've had not a lot of money. When did I become corrupt? I know several billionaires, by the way. When did they become corrupt? Some are great, some are jackasses, just like every other human being. When does poverty corrupt? Because I've heard it both ways. So apparently, if you're too wealthy, then you're corrupt. And if you're too poor, you're corrupt because you're poor. So if you're too wealthy, you're corrupt because at a certain point, that $10 millionth dollar made you corrupt and evil, unless you're Oprah, in which case you're awesome. Let's accept Oprah from this. Exempt Oprah. But if you're poor, if you don't have enough money, that also makes you commit crimes and mistreat women and knock people up and all this. In a second, we're going to talk about abolishing billionaires. Again, this is the new Democratic Party, man. Wow. No wonder people voted for Trump just to stop this nonsense. And we're going to talk about that in a second. First, we need to talk about you saving money. Okay, so you live in the real world where money doesn't grow on trees and you can't just magically transform airplanes into magical trains that travel high speed across the country. You need to save the money you have. And this is why you need to be using honey. Everyone should be able to agree about this, regardless of politics. With millions of sellers on Amazon selling the same products, how do you know if you're really getting the best price? You don't unless you use honey. As you shop on Amazon, Honey's best price finder automatically compares the prices of millions of sellers that carry the item you want. Honey even factors in shipping, sales tax, and Amazon Prime status to make sure that you are getting the lowest total price. It shows you the best deal every time, even if Amazon doesn't. It's like having your very own smart shopping assistant. I love Honey. I use it for every purchase that I make. I've saved a bunch of money at various sites around the internet. Every time you hit a checkout box, you don't have to start the site every time. It just runs in the background. Every time you check out on a site, Honey immediately scans the internet to make sure that you are getting the best deal. More than 10 million people are using Honey to save money, so next time you are shopping on Amazon, treat yourself to a free upgrade that guarantees you always get the absolute best price. Add Honey for free at joinhoney.com/Ben. That is joinhoney.com/Ben. Go check it out. Honey, the smart shopping assistant that helps you save time and money. Joinhoney.com/Ben. Go check that out right this very instant. Sorry about that. One of the dangers of doing your show from an actual coffin is that it may make your nose run a little bit. My goodness. All right, so we will get back into the stupidity of abolishing billionaires in a second. First, go over, subscribe at dailywire.com. For $9.99 a month, you can get a subscription to dailywire.com. When you do, you get the rest of the show live, you get the rest of Klavan's show live, Knowles' show live, 2 additional hours of me a day. Look at me. I'm run down because of you people. I'm providing you 4 or 5 hours of content a day, much of it behind the paywall. The least you could do is engage with our live radio show every afternoon. That's all we ask. And then you can ask questions of me during the breaks, and we can talk. We can become friends. I'll come to your birthday party, maybe. Probably not, but maybe. You never know. You can go check that out for $9.99 a month or $99 a year, which is cheaper. If you do the math, if you actually know how to do math, unlike Democrats, then you would know that $99 a year is cheaper than $9.99 a month if you were to prorate that over the course of the year. Right? You see how that works? Because basic, simple division. You also get this, the very greatest in beverage vessel, the leftist tears hot or cold tumbler. Look at how the light glints off the silvery letters of the leftist tears hot or cold tumbler, hand etched by blind nuns in the Alps. It's just incredible. Go check that out right now. Leftist tears hot or cold. You get that when you get the annual subscription. Also, check us out at YouTube and iTunes because we have things like the Sunday special. This Sunday, we have on famed actor Gary Sinise. He stops by, Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump. We chat about everything art, movie, play, and military related because he has a brand new book out and he is one of the great pro-military voices in the country right now. So stop by on Sunday for that particular conversation. We are the largest, fastest growing conservative podcast and radio show in the nation.